Welcome to the Second Impression podcast. I'm your host, R.A.P., aka Rhythm and Poetry. Today's guest is producer and fellow creative Vampire Ghost Baby.
How you guys doing? Alrighty.
We got the whole cheering going on and everything here, man.
Yeah, I see that. That's cool.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us. First things first, before we start anything, introduce yourself to the listeners and let them know where they could find you.
So my name is Vampire Ghost Baby. Also, you can call me VGB. I'm a producer and artist out of Oklahoma City, and you can find me on SoundCloud at Vampire Ghost Baby, or you can also find me on YouTube at Vampire Ghost Baby. Um, but SoundCloud is the best place to find the majority of my music.
So, well, you heard it here, guys. Make sure you go check them out on SoundCloud. So that's going to run us into the first question of our interview. How did you choose the name Vampire Ghost Baby? How did you become VGB?
Vampire Ghost Baby is actually like a mashup of uh, it's it's hard to say where it comes from exactly. I have this memory of when I was like a younger kid at my mom's apartment in the Paseo district, which is the arts district here in Oklahoma, and we were talking about like cool band names, and we were talking about how like everybody's name was Baby. Like there's the Baby and I don't know. There's Baby and like everybody's Lil this or Lil that, and we came up with we were talking about like what would like an emo version of that be, and then I think the first version of it was actually Suicide Ghost Baby, but I really like vampires, and just like the whole mythology behind vampires and all that stuff is kind of cool to me. So Vampire Ghost Baby is what ended up sticking. It actually wasn't the first name that I went by. The first name that I went by was Russian, but it was spelled like with a Z and a V and a one and all sorts of stuff. And I feel like that was a little complicated. So
But you brought it back to the Vampire Ghost Baby.
yeah, Vampire Ghost Baby just seemed cool, and it's pretty unique. I feel like, and it sticks in your head pretty well. So
It
everybody that
definitely
I
does.
I, I did like some testing to see like what names were best, and Vampire Ghost Baby stuck out the most. So that's what we went with.
I'm happy you went with Vampire Ghost Baby because if you would have went with like Suicide Ghost Baby, I find it still sounds pretty cool. But they have like what's that Russian group? Was it Suicide Boys, right? There's like a rap group, a Russian
Yeah,
rap
there
group, I
is a
think.
rap group called the Suicide Boys. Yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like if you would have named yourself that, then when people go search up your music, you might have got like lost in translation type of thing. So it was a smart play going with the Vampire Ghost Baby instead for sure.
Yeah, I'm the first thing that shows up on Google. You know what I'm saying? If you look that up.
That's leaps and bounds ahead of everybody else, man, for sure. So I'm gonna go to
Hey
question number
man, that's
two.
what I thought. I thought that was like important. So
Oh, it definitely is. It definitely is. But yeah, so I'll go to question number two. So what first got you into producing music?
okay, so the first time that I like ventured into the production side of music, um, I guess like I should start like with how I got into music, which is I was like introduced to classical and opera music as a child, and I did like the vocal music classes in school all the way from elementary school throughout high school, and like I did some competitions and stuff, and participated in the state choir and like the COCDA choirs and stuff. And so that's like kind of like how I got into music. And then I got a MacBook Pro whenever I was a a sophomore in high school, and at that time I was able to convince my grandparents to get me Logic Pro on that computer. My friend Joseph had been messing around on on Logic Pro and Pro Tools, and I thought it looked cool, so I wanted to get into it. And this was whenever like Skrillex was popping off all real big, and dubstep had just like entered the scene real heavy and all that. And so I played around with it a little bit, but unfortunately, I just didn't have like my mind in the right place to really like pursue it. And my laptop also ended up getting stolen from me, so then I was really not able to do anything with it. And my grandparents thought I had like pawned it or something like that, but that wasn't the case. I just got jacked. So I had to take a little while away from it, and then almost by like fate, here maybe like 2 years ago, my sister started talking to this guy who had FL Studio, and he was like showing me the stuff he did on FL Studio on his laptop. He was from Michigan and like visiting in town, and I got to pick it up and play around on it, and my mind was in a much better place. And I just had like an affinity for it, and then from there, I went and got my own laptop, and I was able to like set up my own FL Studio accounts and get my own software and all that stuff. And from there, I've just been making huge leaps and strides, if if you could call them anything.
Well, it's really important though, man, and it's good that even though like a situation like somebody taking your laptop and they think they're just taking your laptop, but they're also just kind of stealing the passion from you, right? And the fact that you were able to have a situation that reunited like your passion, but you also did something with it. You didn't just let it pass by. That's the biggest step you could have taken, you know.
Yeah, yeah, I'm really glad that it happened. Like I said, it almost felt like it was fate. Like I got another opportunity to do this thing, and I didn't like screw around and take it for granted the second time.
Oh well,
So
now
yeah,
we're here. Now we're here, man. I'm
now
glad
we're
you're.
here.
I'm glad you're doing it.
Yeah, man.
Cool. So I'll move on to question number three. So, what genre of music would you prefer to dive into completely if nothing was holding you back?
Oh man. Um, that's such a hard question to answer.
It's all good. If
Uh,
you want to give me a mashup or even two, I'll accept that, man. But I come with the hard hitting questions, you know.
yeah, you're really good. You're really sticking to your guns on this one. I don't know. Here lately, and I feel like where the music like industry is moving towards and stuff, is sort of like that lo-fi sad boy trap stuff. You know what I
Okay.
mean? And so like that's kind of the area that I'm like moving into. I have this EP that I'm getting ready to try and release here in the next several months. Um, and that's like the style that I'm working with, except like I have like some elements of like future bass stuff because I really enjoy future bass as well. But yeah, I guess that would have to be the answer to that question, even though I feel like that question was totally not fair.
I just want to know, what would have been anything that you could have chosen, you know. But that's dope to hear. I'm actually really pumped to hear that EP come out, and I really hope that you share it with me when it does come out, man.
Yeah, dude, I had a song that I was gonna try to share at the end of the podcast, but I'm just gonna have to opt for a different one. It's also gonna be on the EP. It doesn't have any vocals recorded for it, but it is what it is, you know.
Okay,
Um, those will come later. But
of course.
let's keep going.
It's all a process, man. But yeah, I'll move on to question number four. Which video game would you love to be on the soundtrack of?
Oh man, like upcoming games or
Anything. Could it be
just like
anything at all?
any game.
Upcoming games or past games? Stuff you're playing now? Anything?
Dude, you know what I think would actually be super cool to be on the soundtrack for is one of the Doom games. I think the Doom games and the Doom soundtrack is just so phenomenal and it's so heavy, man. It's just so heavy.
Yeah,
But
I totally 100% agree with that. It's like one of the heaviest soundtracks like around for sure.
yeah, it's so good. Super good.
All right, so I'll move on to question number five. Who inspires you to make music?
Man, I wouldn't say it's really like who inspires me to make music. It's like what inspires me to make music. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um, I mean, I could pull inspiration out of anything. Like as far as artists are concerned, I have a great, like just a great love for all kinds of music, and so it's really hard to choose one person to inspire me all the way and like uh, the overall like scheme of what music is. But as far as you know, like I go through experiences day to day that like have music with them. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like I hear music anyways in like my head constantly, and some things are more like powerful, and some emotions that I experience can inspire me to make music. I guess is the I'm inspired by the things I feel and not really by like what people do, if that
Okay.
makes sense.
Yeah, fair enough. That's a good answer. So we'll move on to the final question of the interview, question six. What are your plans for your future in music right now?
Whoo! So, like I said, in the immediate future for music, I plan on releasing that EP and seeing where that goes. But in the like, as far as my career in music is concerned and stuff, I would really like to make soundtracks for video games and movies. I think that there's really good money in that, and it like that kind of music is like it's all emotion based, and it's all like meant to tell a story without like saying anything, which is something that I think is really uh, that's part of why I got into music in the first place. But um, yeah, and then just making music for other people who are trying to chase some sort of dream or like helping somebody turn their vision into a reality using sound. You know what I mean? So like I would prefer to be like working with artists on their stuff, like making beats for people, working collaboratively with people, and then doing stuff for movies and soundtracks, preferably.
Just be like the maestro behind everything type of thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. You know, I mean, There's always the guy who's jumping around on stage, but that guy jumping around on stage ain't got nothing if he didn't have a guy like me back there.
That's 100% true. I totally agree. I totally agree. Awesome. So hopefully that got you guys to know our guest a little bit more as an artist. So now we're going to be moving on to our next segment of the show called Quiz the Wiz. So for the people who haven't experienced this before, essentially before the show, we get three categories from or topics from our guest, and we create a little quiz for our guests so you guys can get to know them on more of a personal level and less on a professional musician kind of level. So our three topics today are beat making, parkour, and video games. How confident are you today on the topics?
God, as soon as you say quiz, I feel like I'm in school and I haven't studied for something.
Well, these are all just random facts, so I don't think there's any possible way you could have studied for this.
Well, thank God.
All right, so we'll start off with question number one. So this is going to be beat making right off the bat. What do you call a mix where you have overlapping frequencies that clash with each other, making it difficult to hear all the individual elements in the track? What is the name of that mix?
That would be a muddy mix.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah, that's my final answer.
And that would be correct. It is called a muddy mix.
It's full of mud. You can't hear anything.
You can't hear
Got
anything.
mud in your speakers.
Awesome. So we'll go on to question number two. So this goes to parkour. Someone who practices parkour is called what? What is the technical term?
So, somebody who practices parkour, I believe it's the French term a trasseur,
Is that your final answer?
but I could be wrong, but I think that's correct.
That is correct. It would
Nice.
be a tracer or a tracer,
Yeah.
however you want to say it. But that's
I
good.
don't have a good I don't I do not speak French.
That's okay.
But
I speak French, so it's all good.
oh yeah, you're from Canada. You guys all speak French over there, right?
Most of us, yeah. Not in Toronto
Yeah.
though. Toronto's just this big old soup of everybody speaking different freaking languages, man.
Huh. All right.
But yeah.
Well, I'm speaking to the expert then.
So we'll move on to question number three. This goes to video games. What is the best-selling video game of all time?
Oh, man, the best-selling video game of all time?
Yep.
Is that like including like is it like the franchise, like the best-selling franchise of all time or like the best-selling singular game of
The
all
best
time?
selling singular game, video game of all time.
Shit, I don't know this one, man. Best-selling video game of all time, like on any platform?
Yeah, on anything.
I'm gonna sound so stupid right now. Super Mario Brothers.
Is that your final answer?
I guess so. I don't even know if there's like an A. Is there an A or a B or a C?
No, this is just mind tricks.
Man. Yeah, I have no idea. Super Mario Brothers. Final answer.
Alright, Super Mario Brothers is not correct. The best-selling video game of all time is Minecraft, with 240
What?
million copies sold. And just to give you a frame
Oh,
of reference of how much that is compared to the rest of the list, I also grabbed the number two best-selling game of all time, which is GTA 5, that only had 170 million copies sold compared to Minecraft.
whoa. I
Yeah,
did not know
Minecraft.
Minecraft was so huge, dude.
It's crazy. Minecraft almost has 100 million copies sold more than GTA 5 does. Doesn't that blow your freaking mind?
It does, considering I'm not one of the people who bought a Minecraft copy.
Same thing with me, man. I one of my friends made me play Minecraft once. I dug a hole into the lava and then I died and then I stopped playing it for the rest of my life. I've never played it up until now. Like
It's the kids, man. It's the kids.
it is. It's got to
I
be.
have a hard time believing those numbers, man.
Uh, they're statistically correct, my
God,
friend.
no.
All right, so we'll move on to
Okay,
question number
whatever.
4. So question number 4 goes back to music and beat making. So this one is a multiple choice question.
It is
What?
a multiple choice question.
Yes. What does WAVE stand for? A. Waveform audio file format. B. Wavelength audio file. Or C. Waving audio format.
I'm sorry. What was the first one?
A was waveform audio file format.
I said A. Final answer.
Okay. So that is correct. It is A. The other ones I just made up and they don't exist.
Yeah. That second
um,
one was pretty good. That second one almost sounded like a real thing.
yeah, and the last one I ran out of stuff to be. So waving audio format just waves at you, man. All right, so we'll move on to question number 5. This goes back to parkour. So, which country was the first to recognize parkour as a sport?
um, the first to recognize parkour as a sport. I think that was the UK, if I'm not mistaken. It could be France, but I think it was the UK. Maybe it was the United States. Shit. Dang it. um, I want to say England though, or like the UK.
That's your final answer?
Yeah.
That is correct. It is the UK.
Haha. I knew it.
Oh man, I've like since I started doing this show, I've never realized how much like being on the opposite side of the quiz that you just talk yourself out of the answer sometimes. Like you like you right the first thing you answer is like the correct thing and then you're like, "Oh, but wait a minute." And then you talk yourself out of the answer slowly sometimes. I've seen it happen so many times on this show.
Yeah.
Man.
No, I like sticking with my gut. Normally, it's right,
Awesome. So
but
we'll go
not
on to
in the case of
question.
Super Mario Brothers.
Not in the case of Super Mario Brothers. That's true. So we'll move on to question number 6. This goes back to video games. What is the oldest console ever made? Is it A. ColecoVision, B. Dreamcast, or C. Magnavox Odyssey?
I think it's ColecoVision. I'm gonna have to go with that for my final answer.
Ooh, that is
No,
not
it was.
correct.
Dang it.
It
Was
Magnavox
what
Odyssey is
was
the
it?
oldest console ever made.
Yeah, it was the Odyssey. Damn it.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. We're still
I
doing
should
good,
have
man.
second guessed myself on that one. I almost said the Odyssey.
All right. So this answer, I'm looking for a range, but if you get more than 50% of your answer within this range, I will give you the correct answer, okay?
Okay, what is this? A production question?
It is.
Okay.
What is the most popular tempo range or BPM that is streamed?
Streamed?
Yeah. So not what is more popular for people to use, but what is more popular for people to listen to at BPM.
Um, Probably like 130 to 150 BPM.
That's your final
Final
answer?
answer.
Unfortunately, that's
Really?
incorrect.
Is it
So
90?
it is. It's 90 to
Oh
99
my
BPM
god.
is the most popular tempo range streamed.
Man, I should have said 90. Dang it! I wanted to say 90, but I was like, man, most trap music and stuff is like 150.
No, we're not completely in love with trap yet, but soon enough, soon enough, everybody's gonna be listening to that all the freaking time.
I don't know. I feel like its time has came and went already.
Definitely. So I'll move on to question
So,
number 8. This goes back to parkour. What year was the first ever recorded parkour jam or meeting held?
I mean, I really just want to look this up, but I'm not going to.
So I'll give you a multiple choice answers here. So A was 2001, B 2002, C 2006, or D 1998. 2001.
Let's go 2002.
That's your final answer? That is correct. The year the first ever recorded parkour jam or meeting was held on July 2022.
Nice. Who was it? Was it Storer?
It was, and there was tons of extremely popular parkourists nowadays that, or tracers. Sorry. Oh, good thing we got that question at the start.
Oh.
But yeah, them. There was a bunch of very popular ones that were all at that meeting too. They all were the staple of parkour, or staples of parkour.
Perfect.
Now we're going to be moving on to the final question, question number 9. The last question is a video game question. Which country is statistically the best at gaming?
Statistically,
Yes.
man, it's probably the Japanese. I'm
Is
gonna
that your
have to
final?
say Japanese final answer.
That's incorrect, my friend.
Is it France?
Um, no, it is South Korea.
Really?
South Korea is the best at gaming. They were the head. When I'm going to use the word staples again, they were the staples of the esports community, mostly like League of Legends and stuff like that. But the
Yeah, I
reason why
guess if you're
esports
into
had
the
such
league.
popularity was because of South Korea.
Okay, that makes sense. I play a game that gets smashed on by South Koreans daily, so that totally makes sense.
Hey man, it's all good. So now that we're at the end, how do you think you did from 0 out of 9?
I don't know. I got like 5 out of 9 correct, right? I
All
got a
right.
little
Well,
over half.
we're gonna tally up the score here.
So
You,
dramatic.
you did indeed get 5 out of 9, my friend. Good job.
All right.
So give you a little bit of a golf clap.
Just like my age.
All right, all right. So now that brings us to the end of the quiz. We're going to take a quick break and listen to a track by our guest. This is So What by Vampire Ghost Baby. Let's check it out. Welcome back. Once again, that was So What by Vampire Ghost Baby. Now we're going to be moving into the final segment of our show. This is called Do You Remember? Basically, we get a topic to start off the discussion from our guests at the starting of every show. This here, we just sit back, we throw back, and we just talk about whatever comes to mind. The starting segment for today is times that we have set limitations on ourselves and how we surpassed them, or if we didn't, then we didn't. Do you have any stories that you want to share with us?
Man, so limitations that we set on ourselves. Hmm. It's I mean, we set limitations on ourselves all the time, don't we? We put limitations on, how much money we can spend in one day, or how much how much we can eat in one sitting. I don't know. Um, there. So I guess I'll use like production as an example, since that's why I'm here in the first place. Um, so I remember whenever I first got into music production, and all I wanted to do was make dubstep. That was all that I concerned myself with, and I was totally like stuck in a loop of making weird sound design things and then like not getting anywhere with them. And you know, that like doesn't work for me as an artist. And I really wasn't like getting anywhere with it, no matter how much time I was spending doing it. It just seemed like it was out of my grasp. And I probably spent like the better part of a year just like wasting time, basically trying to make this style that like I had some sort of preconceived notion about. And that's an example of like setting a limitation on yourself, like, oh, I'm only going to make this style, and then it's like you don't ever make anything because
Hmm.
you're trying so hard to like do one thing. But as soon as I took that limitation off of myself and decided to start doing other stuff, um, everything just kind of happened naturally. And now things that need to be set only like in regards to being conservative, and like not spreading yourself thin. Like that's where the place uh that limitations should be reserved for. And outside of that, like limitations should be avoided, because all they do is get in the way of like creative exploration and possibly discovery, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, and like in your situation, doing and thinking of making like one style of beat, you put yourself, you put unexpected limitations on yourself because you didn't even know what you were doing at the time by putting yourself in that
Yeah,
box until
exactly.
you're in that box, right?
Yeah, and it's such a complicated thing to be trying to do, especially starting out.
Yeah,
And
when
it's just unrealistic, but it like creates pressure, like unneeded pressure. Limitations create pressure. And like some people thrive under pressure, but also like unneeded pressure is exactly what it sounds like. It's unneeded, and there's no way to thrive under like something that you don't need. I don't know.
yeah,
That makes
hey,
sense.
they say pressure makes diamonds, but you could still crack a diamond if you put too much pressure. You know what I mean? Like you
Yeah,
gotta
exactly.
you gotta be
Put
able to
pressure in the
set
right place.
you got to be able to set limitations, but you got to be able to know yourself at the same time. That's the main thing. Is one thing that I learned in life, whether it's in a relationship, in a music career and a job or whatever, you have to learn how to deal with yourself before you deal with other people, or you're not going to be able to do anything to your full capacity, you know?
Yeah, yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, like I myself, I put a lot of limitations on myself at the starting of like putting music out because I've been writing music for a long time, but I had an accident when I was a kid where I like smashed the front of my mouth on the side of a bathtub because I'm a stupid kid moving around and stuff, and it made me grow my adult teeth quicker than everybody else. So I've had a lisp for most of my life because I haven't been able to like learn how to speak properly or have like the proper muscle memory in my tongue to be able to like move around in my mouth without causing a lisp of some sort sometimes, you know. And at the starting, I never wanted to put any of my music out because I was really self conscious of the way that I sounded recorded, which a lot of people do. But I fully didn't want to put any of my music out because I was just like, I hate how I sound. I don't believe that anybody's ever going to like anything I put out because of how I sound. And I, it's actually COVID that made me sit there, and I had like my poetry books and all my lyric books and my writing books and stuff like that. I had like three or four, like five of them, and they're just sitting there collecting dust. And I was like, you know, even even if I put these out and literally nothing happens with them, I could still say that I did something, you know, and I didn't just sit there and like let this die away, this skill or talent that I have or that I'm able to to have, you know. And after putting a few of my songs out and having some people give me some feedback and like developing myself as an artist and as a creative, I find like being able to put your music out and not sound like everybody else is more important than falling into the in crowd. Like you could go ahead and try to chase clout and become like a millionaire or something, and your chances of success are extremely freaking low. Or you could just do this for the pure passion and entertainment of it, and you know that's why I decided to keep doing what I'm doing and why I'm still here. So I could 100% feel putting limitations on yourself as a creative and artist.
Yeah, dude, I think that's it's actually a really powerful story. But I think you're right in like saying that sounding unique from everybody else is what matters most, and you can see that like time and time again with the famous artists of like different generations and stuff. You know, you have um like you got, and I know everybody like hates this guy, but Morrissey from the Smiths, like that was one of the biggest bands of all time,
Mm-hmm.
and he sounds like a Wookiee. I don't know if you've like listened to the Smiths before, but give the Smiths a listen and you'll see what I'm talking about. Um, and really just like it's the same with a lot of artists that I like. Like these people, like Lil Wayne had no singing voice at all, and like honestly, he sounds like not good, but he was unique and like flexed hard enough that people liked it regardless.
Yeah,
And you get the same like even like Frank Sinatra had his own like way of doing things. Elvis Presley had his own way of doing things, and like they were all super unique and like outside of the space of what was going on, and that's what got them attention. And I think
yeah.
that you really hit it on the nail on the head by like what you said. So yeah.
I think by both of the things that we just said, I think we both kind of nailed it because I totally agree at the same time that if from generation to like generational talent, nobody sounds like the other guy. It's not something. It's not a cookie cutter freaking factory where they're all making these people. It's like, oh, this is the next revolutionary hip hop artist or a rock band or whatever. It's not like that, you know. Like they don't sound like everybody else does, and that's why they're up at the front and at the helm, you know.
Mhm.
Man, well, if that's going to teach you anything. Everybody listening, just don't set limitations on yourself unless it's the proper limitations, as Vampire Ghost Baby said. But I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. I'd also like to thank Vampire Ghost Baby for joining us today, man. Thank you very much for coming on and doing the quiz and everything.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on the show and embarrassing me
No
during the
problem.
quiz.
No problem, man. No, no, you got, bro, you got 50%. I've had people get under three questions right. So, I mean, do with that what you will.
All right. I guess that makes it feel better.
Good, good. Awesome. So tune in next week to the Second Impression podcast and chill with me, R.A.P, and our new guest. Good night, everyone.